Thank you very much, President Weiler, Professor De Feo, Professor Lefan, and members of the Euro Parliament, and colleagues and friends here at the European University Institute. Hope you can hear me, yeah? Can you? Okay. Well, I would like to introduce myself a little bit more deeply, not to be arrogant, but just to give a context to the reason why I think I've been invited to talk today here. As you know, I'm a library director at the EUI here in the European University Institute. Before that, I worked 7 years at the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, so the Open University of Catalonia. The last 2 years or 3 years almost as library and knowledge resources director. So it's as library director and kind of so managing a kind of a university press, to say. Before that, I was head of the academic services, which were the main operations in order to give learning to give learning access to our students. And I think that's the reason why I was invited today to talk about online and e-learning and things like that. So I really appreciate that, and I thank Mr. De Feo for that. I would like to start with three approaches for an e-learning agenda. The first one is about students and universities. I would like, well, the first thing I would like to highlight is that in 2012, these are Eurostat data. We had more than 20 million students in the European Union. In 2003, they were 12 million and a half, and in 2000 they were 9 million students. Well, as you see, this is there is an increasing trend. Is also the same. That there is also the same increasing trend in the world. I have data from 2003 because I couldn't find data up-to-date updated. But in 2003 we had 3,500 universities in the European Union and 4,000 universities in the whole Europe. Yeah. Well, this is the first approach. The second one is about the kind of knowledge we offer today in our universities. Briefing, which is always dangerous, but I hope it's not this time. In the traditional old societies, the education was about critical thought. Yeah, it was based in CS briefing about fields or disciplines that came from trivium and quadrivium, so logic, rhetoric, grammar, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy. Then they shift into philosophy, etc., etc. Yeah. In the industrial society, education was more focused, without losing this other knowledge, but was focused in professionalization at a high level. So without losing this trivium and quadrivium, shifted into something. There were some new disciplines to fit the needs of some new professions: engineering, nursing, management, economy, etc., etc. So it was not just important to know things, but to know how also. Yeah. Today, in the informational society, still, as Professor Whaley said, we are custodians of our civilization in the universities, and we also give knowledge in these new disciplines to be good professionals. But we are also in an informational society that we are giving education in maybe in skills, in competences, and also in interdisciplinarity, in complexity. So we prepare our students for jobs that we already don't know how they will be, so they do not exist. The third and last approach is about the lifelong learning. Well, you know, well, it's an important need. Actually, there is a European Union that we have in the European Union a specific program on lifelong learning. Briefing also, the idea of the 20th century was that we start as you know, as human beings, to say to be educated, and when we finished the school, maybe the university, if we were lucky, then we started to work. We worked for several years, and when we finished our work, we retired and we enjoy our personal needs or interests, etc. Today things are shifting, and it's more complex. It will be even more complex in the future. So we start being educated, of course. Then we finish. Some people then they take a sabbatic gap. Some others not. Some start working. Some others they go to the university for several years. Some others they then cut and go and start working. We need to update our knowledge in some skills and competencies or maybe critical thought, and then we have to return to the university or to some higher education institution. So the complexity it's also increasing. Yeah. So some arising questions. The first one is, will there be room for students in 2015 if we keep growing at the same level? Well, here we have a scenario by the OECD and another one from the World Bank of, as I told you, how it's increasing the number of students in the world and in Europe and the OECD countries, etc. Well, if the increasing of university students trend keep going for the following 10 years in the world, to satisfy this demand, it would be necessary to create 2 universities for 20,000 students, 2 universities for 20,000 students every day during the following 10 years. Well, this is one of the questions. The second one is, what skills are important for the intellectual, professional performance of tomorrow? We usually talk about information literacy, for example. This is another example from another graph from OECD about computing skills. In purple, we see how important were, according to the opinion of companies and universities, computing skills in different countries in 2005, and we see how important they were in 2011. One question: did the universities offered some programs or some skills to their students from 2005 and 2011 more than they did in 2005? I mean, the university is shifting to fit the needs of the society. Another question: are our learning methodologies fitting the need of the future generation? Here we have another graph from OECD again. The red line indicates the number of mobile phones used in the world in millions. And as you see, they are really increasing. And I mean, so we see that the future generations are intensive users of mobile data, mobile information, and mobile everything, mobile learning, mobile things. Are we preparing our universities to adapt our communication to their style, their equipment? And the last one is just a reminder of what I said. I mean, here we have the way that we will organize our lives, studying and then working and then taking time for our personal interests, etc. Talking especially about the need to study again and to update in skills and also in critical thought or what else. Are we expecting that workers of the European Union will resign their jobs to return back for full-time studying at the university, in the university campuses, etc.? So, I think that most of these questions are not new in traditional universities and obviously not in the online universities. So they faced the same questions the last decade or so, and obviously they had different solutions for that. If we consider the whole operations of a university as a chain, part of these links are already solved. I mean, we all use the library online, not in all services or all the collections, but we know that we cannot download articles. We can also use now and access on online books and etc. etc. We can also access to historical archives or or personal archives in the university, and we can also use press, news, etc., etc. We can also, some universities, traditional or online, they have a lot of back office services, virtual or online, so students can pay their tuitions, or they can access the student files, or professors can assess the students via online, etc., etc. The main starting point today is the classroom. So the learning activity itself is still physical mainly, and it has some help with virtual classrooms, but they are not virtual classrooms really. Yeah, they are just an extension of what happens in the traditional classroom. So I will try to give you some solutions from my experience, especially at the Open University of Catalonia. Before that, just a warning, because I've been working 7 years at the Open University of Catalonia, I had the opportunity to explain the project of the Open University to several colleagues, and mainly people focus in technology. I mean, technology, obviously, it's really important. It's really important also here at the European University Institute. It's really important there in the European Parliament. And obviously, if we are talking about virtual solutions, obviously, it's maybe more important, even more important. But technology is just the pitch. It's like saying that Old Trafford or Camp Nou, it's the solution for Football Club Barcelona or for Manchester United or for Manchester City, etc. And it's not. The champions, they win because they have a very good method, not because they have a very good stadium or a very good pitch. So the most important thing when we talk about online and when we talk about e-learning is not the technology, it's the method. And I will try to explain that a little bit better. So I will just give you some examples very, very briefly. The first one is the university, the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, and then I will talk a little about IATU. I hope that, well, I'm sure that most of you know about them. And also I will say something about one of the current cases, the MOOCs. About the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, the UOC, just to give you an idea, the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, they have 50,000 students. So they are, in that term, a real university, because, I mean, we can think about our own universities in our countries, and we can think about a 50,000 students university. Yeah? They offer official studies, and when I say that, I mean they offer university degrees. They are considered official university degrees. So it's like the universities we have in mind. They offer undergraduate, doctoral programs, postdoctoral programs. So it's like the university we have in our countries, the traditional university. So I just say that because they are a real normal, let's say, university, but online. Yeah, they were the first university online in the world because they created the university in 1995, and there were a lot of distance teaching university, but not online. And the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya was the first online. And the main achievements, in my opinion, is there are two. That they have virtualized all the links of this operational chain. Yeah? So the first one is the virtual classroom. They have a virtual classroom where everything happens, the interaction between professor and students, the interaction between experts invited and students, the interaction between students, the feedback from the professor to the student, the possibility to give feedback from the student to the professor, forums, to work in separated groups, etc., etc. So this is, in my opinion, one of the things that was that is different from the other universities and the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya. The second one, it's about the methodology. They designed a specific methodology, a learning methodology, with the learning activity in the middle. So it means that the professor and the student, they are both in the middle, and then they follow this methodology. They design a complete itinerary for the students, and they follow this methodology. Well, the second example I wanted to talk about is EATU. EATU is, as you maybe know, the European Association of Distance Teaching University, and several distance teaching universities, now most of them online, to say all these universities are online, are members of EATU. So we have 9 different countries, 11 universities, and also 2 other universities, one from Estonia, Switzerland, who usually participate in EATU. And what I want to explain about EATU is a project that they started last year, and it's called Empower Higher Education, and here you have the link, empower.eatu.eu, and as you see more or less, and briefing again, they defined or they identified different fields, these 10 fields, that more or less are the different links of a chain to complete the operations of a university. And as these 11 universities are experts on these fields and how to solve these problems in the virtual world, they offer now in a web page open to the world, so every university can use it, examples and cases of how they solve their problems, for example, in knowledge resources, and how they work with these different fields. They also offer counseling and guidance in case that a university needs. And the last one I think I want to talk a little, very briefly, is about MOOCs. Well, some of you, even if not all of you, you know about this project, or this experience, this massive online open course that were introduced in 2008, and they emerged as popular maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I just want to highlight some things about MOOCs. MOOCs is a very good solution for e-learning, but in my opinion, it's not a good solution for e-learning agenda in Europe. The main reason why, it's because the center of the methodology in all the universities online that I know, it's always the learning activity. In the MOOCs I know, the methodology is supervised, to say, by the system itself, and the most important thing, especially in Europe, maybe not in the United States, are the learning resources, so the knowledge resources they use. And obviously we can learn specific skills or a language using a MOOC, but in my opinion is not the path that we in Europe should follow to solve the e-learning needs of the universities in Europe. And thank you.